Hey, how y'all doing? My name is RayMartell Moore, lead actor from Finding Me and Finding Me Truth, and you're watching Brotherhood TV, only on BrotherhoodTV.com. Peace.
So welcome back, you guys, to another episode of Brotherhood TV, only here on BrotherhoodTV.com. So this is a very special episode because the cast and we got a chance to go to the Boston viewing of Finding Me Truth, this movie. So with that said, I want to take this opportunity to show you guys the trailer for the movie. So here it is, you guys.
Fabian Allen has always been on a journey towards finding himself. And a year ago, he found his true love. When he decides to rekindle his love with Lonnie, things don't always go according to plan.
Babe, I can't do this.
At a time like this, he goes to his friends for help.
You must feel like shit.
But can he count on them?
Yesterday was kinda like the 4th of July. The way your face lit up the entire sky.
He's cheating on me.
What?
Gabe, he's cheating on me. Phase 1 of catch cheating boyfriend in the act. In full effect.
Amir, I thought all of that was over.
You crazy.
I'm not mad at you, but dating two at the same time and both of them don't know?
And?
What if I was to tell them? And?
Jay, you kind of alluded to the fact that you may be seeing someone else and that I shouldn't trust you. Are you seeing someone else?
This is just sex. This is no love thing.
Without them, Fabian is forced to face life with the help of an unlikely friend.
Baby, get your bill! Break him out and get your girl!
Summer 2010.
Shut up!
Let me guess. You need some bread, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yo, what you be doing with the money I be giving you? And you better not be playing me neither.
Omar, you're my only one.
Expect the unexpected.
So I want to say congratulations to the cast and to Roger for this movie. It's an amazing movie. And I wonder if anyone had any thoughts about the movie, any feedback about the movie. What did you guys think? I'll go first.
I think we all kind of have mixed emotions about the movie. Okay, so I'll start. This is a sequel to the original Finding Me, and it's been a while since I've seen the original, so I was a little unfamiliar with the characters at first again. I think overall, I really liked what the movie was going to do for Black gay men, and kind of showing the upsides and downsides to relationships, and then still trying to figure out how do you make things work. I think I took a couple issues with how I don't think characters had as much depth as I wanted them to have, and I think the sex in the movie was epic. Well, some scenes were epic, but overall, I think that there was some issues we needed that they might have wanted to think about working out in terms of knowing where we are with HIV in terms of condom usage and talking about that. I know Amir has quite a bit to say about it.
I saw both movies. So the first one I actually screened. I work with youth, and it really had a it had a really big impact on the young people. And a lot of young people really felt like they had access to the story because it's about coming out. It's about like one's journey on finding your truth. And there's the other factor that this is a West Indies sort of like family. Well, the dad and of course the main character Fabian. And so I think that the first movie was powerful in that sense, that just seeing the impact of young people who also could identify with the story. I think that the first one was a little bit too long. I think it was great, but I felt like I feel like it could have been said and done and like bam, like it could have just sort of like been a little bit more shorter. I think that that's one of the strengths of the second one, that it was shorter. It did take into the whole length of the story into consideration. I think that there was definitely like some questions that I sort of like had after it, but you know, that being said, there's some big things I think coming up with it being a series, so I'm really excited about that, and some of those questions I'm sure will be answered then. But overall, I thought it was great, and I thought it definitely was a good addition to sort of giving us sort of a different level of visibility.
Definitely. I first want to say again, congratulations to Roger for writing, directing, producing such an amazing film. The second film, the follow-up to Finding Me, was amazing. You know, really putting our stories into words and putting it on the screen was definitely something that was amazing, and I want to say thank you for that. My only concerns, and I guess we had this conversation earlier about the concerns of the film, was so when, not giving too much of the story away, Lonnie and Fabian go and they like link up again at a hotel, and in a quick second, like they were having sex. And for me, there was like, I saw no condoms, I saw no protection, I saw no lube, I saw not even lube, like I didn't see anything. And for me, it was just like, I had a real problem with that, you know, so that was one part. And then the second part, you know, was I don't want to say his name wrong, the bisexual character.
The bisexual character gets a girl pregnant.
Gets a girl pregnant. Greg gets a girl pregnant, and I'm just like, oh, that's not, like, everyone's like, oh, congratulations. And I'm like, no congratulations. Like, you aren't dating this girl, you're having sex with her, and obviously you're having a relationship with someone else, and she's pregnant now.
So can we have like a real moment? And maybe it's because I'm the like in the moment person, but like I want to ask you. So you have this really hot, heavy side. You have a relationship with somebody. Y'all end it really quickly for whatever reason, and then you know you see this person. They're in town for 24 hours. 24 hours.
And there was not a
silence. Silence. You want to get it in. When you go back to the hotel room, what's the last thing on your mind?
If you want to get it in, you know, if you're talking about me now.
Exactly, you personally say it.
Me personally, I'm concerned about what kind of person this individual's been connecting with. Do I need to protect myself? I don't know. I'm thinking about those kind of things. But if you have some kind of trust level with this individual, that could be the last thing in your mind. They were in love.
Like they were in love, and they were like, "This is my one."
What does that mean?
You know, you're my one.
So we're in love, and we haven't seen each other in almost like a year plus at this point.
Didn't we say it was 6 months?
Okay, let's just say 6 months then. We haven't seen each other for 6 months. You're with somebody else, so we're gonna like get in raw dog. But you have been with someone else, so we're gonna get in raw dog.
So a lot of things can transpire in 6 months.
Exactly. Thank you.
It is true. A lot of things. I'm saying, like, I think for the sake of the movie, it's important to kind of understand, like, we one can't assume that condoms weren't used, and two,
I'm just going by what I saw on the
screen. Even if they were not used,
I'm going by what I saw on the screen.
Even if they were not used, there's kind of to me. There's a moment that happens where it's like, yo, like I trust you, you trust me, like we're gonna do this, like we've been together for 2 years.
I feel like that's one of the major problems with our community. It's like it's too much. It's like, oh, I trust you.
It is.
It's been a minute. No.
Wait, editorial comment. By no means do I condone non-condom usage. Continue.
But I think what this does is it continues to legitimize and justify a lot of the statistics in the African American community.
Exactly.
You know, if there isn't anything on screen where an individual is used in protection, it's just like all these statistics about people of color, 18 to 25, contracting HIV and illnesses and stuff like that, and then illegitimate children and bastard children, you know, that kind of thing. So I feel like if any new film coming out, it needs to say something about the statistics.
But I think the one thing that I question is that is it the filmmaker's responsibility? Because I think that their main and their only responsibility is to tell the story. And we had a conversation with Roger. I don't want to. How do you pronounce his last name? Omeus? I'm so sorry, Roger, if I mispronounced your name. But as he was speaking about it, he basically was saying that he heard these voices of these characters, and he had to be very authentic. He had to be like, okay, so Fabian would not say that. Fabian probably would not use a condom. Lonnie probably won't use a condom. Greg might not use a condom. He had to be very true to the character at the end of the day. And I think that is sort of speaks to the integrity of the filmmaker. So I think there is a conflict for me. And I think that the question then remains is it his responsibility to do that when ultimately his responsibility is to tell a story?
I mean, I definitely I understand what you're saying. You know, so we're gonna finish this conversation on Brother TV Uncut. But with that said, here's an interview that we had that we got a chance to do. Me and Ernest got a chance to do in New York with Roger and the star of the movie, RayMartell. So RayMartell.
So hey you guys, welcome back to Brother TV, only here on BrotherhoodTV.com. So it's Amir, and I'm very happy, and this is amazing. This is an amazing opportunity, you know, to be here in New York, and we're talking to the star, director, writer of Finding Me True. So I'm gonna take this opportunity for them to introduce themselves. I'm RayMartell Moore, star of Finding Me Truth, play Fabian Allen.
My name is Roger Omeus Jr., and I'm the writer, director, and executive producer of Finding Me Truth.
So my first question to you, Roger, is what was the process like for writing the follow-up to Finding Me?
The process was really kind of out of this world for me because at the time I happened to be in Paris screening the original film, and I knew it was time to start writing it because I told everyone from the response of the festivals that we were going to do next film. Right. So I'm in Paris, of all places, writing, you know, a story about Jersey City, New Jersey, and that was fun because it gave me a real good chance to really vividly imagine where I was, so that I can project that to the audience. You know? And then just the story honestly took a life of its own. It wasn't like me writing; it was the characters coming through my fingers and writing, and telling me what they're going through at this moment. Like I would write one character, and I'm like, "Oh," he would say, "I don't talk like that." I know it sounds crazy, but Fabian would say, "No, I don't speak that way, Roger. That's more Greg." Oh, okay, so I'll then change it. So it was really out of this world.
So from the first film to the second film, what was that process like of transitioning into that second? What was that the transition process like transitioning into the second film?
Transitioning to the second film. Well, the biggest transition I would say would be that we added more characters. And I think it was necessary because, again, the name of the film is Finding Me. It's a journey. That's what we always, that's our tagline. And through the journey, you meet new people. You have love interests, whatever. And the first film was really about Fabian and his journey. And you got little sprinkles of the other characters. But now the other characters, it was almost like demanded to hear their side of the stories as well, or their parts of the story, and see how Fabian is their anchor. So in this one, you get to see more of Greg, you get to see more of Ramiro, you get to see more of Jay, and you see how Fabian is in the middle of it all.
So let me ask this question, like in light of Finding Me and Finding Me Truth, the sequel, what sort of birthed that whole storyline? Was it something that she was going through, that sort of, the story came from, like what was that, how were you inspired?
I was go back to 1996, 97, when Invisible Life came in. That is what really inspired me, because I always wanted to write, and when I read that book, I saw myself, and I loved it. I mean, I went and seeked out Elon Harris. Anytime that he was going to be in New York or something like that, I wanted to go meet him. So that story alone, and seeing myself in it, really inspired me. And then fast forward to, I forgot what year it is, when Punks came out by Natural Game Hope. I'm like, wow, I see myself on screen, you know what I mean? And I've always wanted to do film. And so I changed, back in 96, I wrote a book format of Finding Me. And these characters, but then I shelved it because, you know, I have to work and I pay bills. And then in 2006, I was like, you know what, it's time to turn this into a screenplay. Wrote the script in a month, and then started casting. In 2007, we started shooting.
So where did you find these people to cast?
Some of them, like Eugene, who plays Greg, I've known through the circles that we've been through. Shannara and I actually worked together at a photography studio. That's how I met Shannara. And Ray here, I found through Model Mayhem. And I'm thinking that I'm speaking to him, and it wasn't him, it was this ad that his mother put up. And I sent the email through that, and she responded, right?
Well, yeah, basically, I was in school at the time, so I was at the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. It was about 6 weeks before graduating. My mom started putting me on different websites, Model Mayhem, anything that had modeling and acting in it, my face was on it. Because she wanted everybody to know I was graduating. She was so proud of her baby. And Roger saw my picture on Model Mayhem. Thought he was talking to me, gave the whole description of what the scene was about, what the movie was about, what type of character I would be playing, what
it's gonna be a kissing scene with another guy.
Suggestive scenes there were gonna be. And my mom was like, my son could do this. And I was like, I was first of all just like surprised that she didn't like not even say anything about it, but say something and be like, you know what, go for this audition. It's an opportunity. And that's his history.
Yeah.
Something that I definitely want to congratulate you on is that you've definitely given a voice to so many Black and Latino, gay, and bisexual people that really have a voice. So would you agree in saying that this is your form of activism? Would you say that?
Yes. I'm consistently trying to think of ways that I can do something for the community. Before, it's about a buck, 25 cents, $100. It's about giving back because I come from a family of community. So I don't know how to operate unless we're doing it together. So that family feeling, a lot of people say they feel when they meet us, is because that's how I grew up. And I don't believe in doing anything without giving back. So our voices have not been heard for so long. I mean, you have little spurts of something there, but then it's quickly disappeared, or made fun of, or parodied. I guess it was parody of it. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely think Finding Me is my form of giving back to a community that is unheard and underrepresented.
And I think one thing that's interesting too is that the center, Fabian and his father, they're sort of like West Indies background. Now, was that sort of intentional, or was that just sort of?
Yes, because I'm of Haitian descent. I'm a first generation Haitian American, and I had to write from something that I knew. Right. And that's a side that we don't typically see. You usually see the struggle of homosexual African American family, but it's completely different too when you add the Caribbean aspect, because their parents really hold you in a higher standard. Education is first. Well, I'm not saying that's not the case with African Americans either, but from my experience, you got to do this, you got to do that. And the machismo aspect is at a different level. So I really wanted to show that in the original film where Fabian struggled with his father and all that browbeating he was getting. So I definitely had to put something of me in there in order to make it authentic.
So Ray, my question to you is, as an actor, where did you draw from? Where did you draw from?
Well, I drew from just my own life experiences as far as being in a new environment, trying to get adjusted and trying to figure out where you fit in, trying to say, okay, this is where I'm accepted. In a lot of ways, I say that me and Fabian, we were almost going through the same thing at the same time. Not so much being gay or anything like that, but more so in like the mentality of, okay, this is new. How am I gonna get used to it? Let's go. And basically accepting yourself for who you are as a person. I am heterosexual, but it was more accepting myself as I am who I am in myself.
And I think one thing that I will say, and I think that it's so amazing, because we need a lot more allies like you. So thank you for taking on that task. There's so many. I think it takes a lot of courage, being in the showbiz, theater, art circuit, to sort of step out of the box. And so I really want to applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, so would you consider yourself, like, sort of going on to the character Fabian, like, what was your process getting into the struggles of a gay man of color, growing up in the West Indies culture? What was that process for you?
I have two big people to thank. First is when I was going to my school, I had a gay roommate at a certain point, and he was the one who basically told me, you know, his life story. So even when I auditioned for the role, I used him as what I was gonna portray. You know, he was one of the guys that you could walk up on the street and be like, yo, what's up, what's good, what's good? And, you know, in the midst of the conversation, he goes, I'm gay. You'd be like, whoa, huh? I never knew, I wouldn't have thought it. So that was my first process of going into the role. The second person I have to thank is Mr. Omeus right here. Because when I remember our first conversation when we had Thai food. He took me to a Thai food restaurant, we're all sitting down, and he started to get to know me. He asked me different questions. And the next question he says, you know, I'm not gonna assume anything. You know, what is your orientation, sexual orientation? And I'm straight. And he was like, okay. He kind of said, not exact words, but basically, I'm gonna be the one who makes sure that you experience this peacefully and enjoyably and see what we're all about, you know, and basically like our brother, you know, he just really watched over me and just allowed me to experience and see and hear his stories, hear everybody else's stories, and basically see the family that he was a part of, that then I became a part of, and we're all family.
So my next question to you guys is, through writing this, you know, playing the lead role, what have you learned about yourself from this? What was something that you took back from writing the role that, you know, that you learned?
Well, for me, for a long time, you know, you kind of, when you're growing up in your 20s, depending on, well, for myself, I felt like I was meandering, if I pronounced it right, trying to figure out what I want to do. For so long, I completely forgot that I wanted to be a filmmaker. It's, you know, you get into this place where you gotta make that money, buy that car, get this apartment, right? And you lose your passion. And so when I started writing, it reminded me of what I really love, and that is my passion. And my work ethic completely changed because it was all about my film. I mean, my work, my 9 to 5, really suffered because my goal was totally about the film, and I became hungrier, passionate, grittier, doing what I have to do to get through. And I mean, this journey has been a long one coming, so it really toughened me up and really solidified that I am a filmmaker. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, for me, thank you, Roger. He gave me my vocation. Basically showing me what it is, my purpose, that my heart is really into. I knew that I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't know what type of actor. You know, I knew that I wanted to touch the world and change lives and tell other people's stories, but I didn't know what type of stories I wanted to tell. And what I finally was that opportunity to really see what it is what type of stories I wanted to do. Basically change lives through characters. And yeah, it was just we got squirrels around here, so I get distracted easily. ADD. But no, basically it was just one of the things where I knew that I wanted somebody to be able to see themselves through my characters. And no matter if I'm playing a gay character or a thug or something, I wanted to, at the end of the day, that person be uplifted at the end of the film and be able to walk away and say, you know what, life may be difficult, but it's gonna be better.
So what's next for Lonnie? What's the next step?
Series, because the story, as you'll see in See Truth, has evolved so much from the original, and it keeps evolving. And these characters are so relatable, and people really want more. Like each festival or screening we have, they'll say, "What's next? Is there going to be a part 3?" And it's like, I would love to see another series of not just us, you know, but everybody. And that's the world I live in, and I want to see that more. I want to be able to look at myself and say, "Oh, that's me on the screen." It's not enough of that. There are like periods of time. For me, there was the 90s where you had Living Single, Martin, New York Undercover, all in one night. So Thursday nights was kind of like Black TV night. And then it all disappeared. And then it comes back again, and then it disappears, and that's not enough for me. It's not. Because we're part of this world, so.
So my last question to you guys is,
what would you say to anybody, directors, actors, who really see the need and understand the need, you know, but don't have it in them, you know, they need that push. What would you say to them?
For actors or anybody, I would say work. you got to put in the work. You know, it's not going to be given to you. It's not going to be handed to you. It's not going to. You have to put in the work. And it's not just like Roger. You know, Roger's the perfect example here. Not only do you write it, but you direct it. Then you produce it. You use your own money. That's basically what it means. Then, you know, if you don't have enough money to hire an editing crew, you edit it. You know, you have to really work.
Yeah, you gotta jump into it knowing all the tools that is needed to make it work, and know your strengths and your weaknesses. Whatever your weakness is, find someone that can help you somehow. Because I know it sounds easier than it is, but I know there's a lot of filmmakers who are living in places that are not as accessible as New York, and they don't know where to go or gravitate to and do something. And it's hard, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is hard. And I think you guys know this. You guys are like inspirations to me, because I'm like, this is great to see young folks doing it, not waiting for someone to come up to them and say, oh, would you like to do a TV show? No, you guys are taking it on your own accord to create something. That's inspiring. And that's what you have to do. You make the mistakes, that's fine, but you're doing it. People can criticize what you're doing, but are you doing it?
I think that's really powerful. So my final question is really, goes to both of you. If you can sum up the message, the take-home message of finding me truth, and probably finding me too, the first one, what would it be?
It's a journey of life that we all go through, and you don't know who you're going to meet along the way, but as long as you have people that are on your corner, friends, whether they're friends or family members, you'll be able to make it. But learn the lessons that are presented to you, even though they may not look like lessons, they are. Learn them and grow from them.
And then I'll add on that, it's about friendships and how important friendships are. Long story short, I'm military brat, so I move every 3 years. You know, and there's a positive where you become cultural for that, but then there's a negative where you don't really connect friends that much because you know that in 3 years you're about to leave. So just recently I said, I'm a New Yorker, I'm here to stay, I'm good. So with finding me true, it goes into the same. The friendships matter. This is my friend. He's gonna be my friend for the rest of my life. You know, and it's about love and friendships.
So with that said, I want to take this opportunity to thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. It means everything. Congratulations on everything. Congratulations on everything. So with that said, you guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Brother TV, only here on BrotherhoodTV.com. Until next week, you guys.
See you.